folks. My name is Kyle, the one true Kyle, and I am with my very good friend, my great childhood friend, along with companion to many crimes, and along with my co-host to Podcast of X. You may know him as Danny. Danny, welcome. And we're not just here to talk and just have a regular podcast. No, we are playing some Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, the final battle, the Reckoning 3, the DLC Revenge package.
Yeah, I like that name. Oh,
Right?
man.
I think that's what it's called, right?
That's pretty much it. That's what they were going for. It felt like that's what they were aiming for.
So before we started the podcast, we more or less talked about like anime and X-Men and random things while playing this game, pretty much. I think this is kind of like the birth of the podcast in many ways because we were just like shooting the shit playing this game.
Yeah, we'd be
A lot
like,
of
"Did you
the
see what
time.
they're doing in X-Men?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's crazy."
Yeah.
and then I and then I get punched in the face. I'm like, "Fuck! I wasn't paying attention."
Uh, yeah, it was a good time. So that kind of led to us doing an X-Men podcast, which was ripe for the picking considering the timing with Marvel. But, you know, before that, and we don't do it as often anymore because we're podcasting so often, we got down on some Naruto, and we're doing that today. And while we're battling, I want to talk to you about Star Wars. I want to talk about you because you were the biggest Star Wars fan that I have ever known. Uh, and I would say, yeah, has ever known.
I can
Um,
accept that. I actually have all of the figures that they released for episode 2 and episode 3. Like I went out and got the whole series and I collected it. Like I had
yes.
a buddy of mine who used to collect older Star Wars figures, and I was just like, I liked his collection going through it and like how he organized it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I want a hobby. Fuck it. So yeah, I would say I'm one of the few people out there that have all of Episode Two's release figurines from back in the day. Now they sit in a box in the garage in shame.
That's funny.
But yeah, I'd say that puts me up there as a pretty big fan. You have to be a pretty big fan to waste your money on that kind of shit.
Sure. It's
At
true.
one point. But the times have changed, as the movies have too.
Yes, this is true. And let's say, do you remember the first time you saw Star Wars?
Yes, it was in the early '90s when they brought back. No, I saw it on VHS at my grandparents' house. My grandpa had shown it to me. But
Mhm.
in theaters, it was the early '90s when they did the
The
re-releases.
re-release, I saw
Yeah,
that. Yes.
they saw New Hope in
Yes.
theaters. At
Awesome.
what is now the Dollar Theater in town was still
The,
the main theater.
the Cinemark 12 at the time?
Yep,
Is that
Movies
one?
12.
Yep.
Yep, back
Movies
then, yeah.
12, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that also with my grandpa again. With my grandpa and I think my uncle was there, and we all went and saw it.
Nice.
We went and saw A New Hope, and yeah, Greedo shot first. It was terrible.
Shot first.
I didn't even notice
Yeah,
that as a kid because I'd seen the original VHS one, so like
sure.
I knew the actual series, like, and the
Mhm.
whole Greedo shooting first thing didn't even register with me. I was just like, yeah, whatever. And then later on, I noticed that people were pissed about it, and I was like, oh yeah, he didn't shoot first. He got like murked. Like Han was a badass and just
Oh,
like took him
yeah.
out in cold blood. Like that was dope. And then the whole shooting first was just like what?
Right?
And then the thing where his head kind of moves a little bit, and it's like it's just real bad,
Oh, it's
real
so
bad.
bad.
Oh man.
And now we're in the age of McClunky.
Oh.
Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't touched any of that stuff. I mean,
Uh,
honestly, after oh gosh,
why can't I move forward? This is weird. I'm struggling to move forward.
the forward
Look at
motion.
that. Do you see that? Does that look weird to you? Right?
It looks like you have like a weird curve to like go forward. Like it
That
seems
was
like there's like a pull on your controller that's like arcing you a little bit.
right. I'm gonna take off these little flaps real quick on this.
Oh yeah, you're using that Elite controller I gave you,
I
right?
am. I'm using
And
the Elite controller.
that thing has a lot of little like tricks and things to it, and little
I
extra stuff.
wonder. Yeah, that's weird. It feels weird that I'm not moving forward. I'll make it
I,
happen. We'll make this
I
happen.
I gave you a bug controller, so I had an advantage, Kyle.
I
Fuck, you
knew it.
figured it
I
out.
knew it. Fuck, you just gave me a whack controller.
I'll set you up, you son of a bitch. Oh man. Oh.
Ah,
But
that's
I guess I'd say going back to like what that Rain Johnson fucking trash fire that came out,
sure.
Revenge, as they call it. Reve- Revenge of the failed franchise. Like once
Yes.
I watched that, I like kind of went home and was just like, it felt weird. Like I had this epiphany moment where I was just like, this isn't none of this is fun anymore. Like I'm not excited about these movies. I'm not walking away from them with like a miriam of wonder and mystery. Like I'm just walking away from them feeling like wronged. Like they don't care. Or they don't even know what they're doing. Like they don't care enough about the source material to even like fact check things or follow stuff. Like I was a little excited after I had left oh gosh. I would say a little bit excited when I left Revenge
Mhm.
of the Sith. Like a little bit about like just them moving forward to where the original series was. But as I got older, even looking back on that, I was like, this is not good. This has its problems. But
Right.
Force Awakens was total just like bait and switch. Like I was like, oh, I like this movie because I like A New Hope, and it's pretty much just
Sure.
A New Hope. But then you see the little things, and like you notice those have such big significant problems. Like Leia not even acknowledging Chewbacca as she walks, like as he walks past her after Han just died. Like they're not even like connecting over that. She'd rather
Uh-huh.
just like, oh, I'm gonna comfort Rey because she's the main focus of the
So
movie.
weird. Yeah. Um, yeah. Have you seen this the Rise of the Skywalker yet?
No,
Do you
I
plan on
haven't.
seeing it?
No, I have no. I mean, yeah, I'll pirate it. I'll pirate it and watch it, just to see what happens. But I'm not gonna give them any of my money to see it. That's for sure. That just feels too wrong.
So what was, oh man,
We ran out of time.
who won that? Oh yeah.
Oh snap! You did. Well done.
Um, so what was it? What else did you not like about Ryan Johnson's run? How about Canto Bites? How'd you feel about Canto Bites?
That could have been cut out of the whole movie. It's like when they did the Jar Jar edit, like the Phantom edit, where they took Jar Jar Binks out of episode one of Phantom Menace, and the
Sure.
movie still worked. It didn't really like. It's like the whole movie would still be fine. It's like that Canto Bites was an even more obvious one. Like they had to do work with the Jar Jar one, and they made it work. With the Canto Bites one, you could just effortlessly cut that out, and like all of the Benicio del Toro's plot, and it wouldn't even matter.
It
It would
really,
just
yeah.
be this. It would be the same movie. Oh,
After
that movie.
watching, go ahead.
I see that movie had problems from beginning to end. I mean, like starting
Sure.
even at the beginning with the whole like the World War II reminiscent fight scene that made no sense because you're just like, wait, like these bombs are falling like there's gravity in space. It's like what's happening? I'm like, huh? And then you get more logistic problems going from there to when they like just fucking blast a hyperspace like cruiser into the fucking like enemies cruisers to take them out. And I'm like, well, if this was how this worked, why didn't they do this before? Like, why have they always just died? Like, why don't you like, oh, we're going down? Well, then fuck it, let's hyperspace this shit.
Right? I mean, they could have done that to the Death Star, I imagined.
You could have done that to the Death Star. If that big of a
Right to the
mass of the
center.
object had that much of an impact, a smaller object should have an even significantly similar impact, just scaled down a little bit,
You
but
could do
should
that.
still be scaled up compared to what that object did.
Could you
So
do
you could
that to
look
a
at
planet? You could do that to a planet then, probably.
if you had like a Star Destroyer sized fleet, like the Enforcer, that thing that Vader rolled
Sure.
around in
Oh yeah.
Empire Strikes Back, that could take out a planet. Based off of how much damage the other one did, the
Hmm.
Enforcer should be able to take out a planet, no problem. Yet they were like, no, we have to build another crazy, elaborate planet destroying device to take out planets again and again and again. They got to rest on that one. When they could have just been flying shit into hyperspace, right into anything. Take one little chonch ass like Tie fighter and just launch it in to start like a rebel fleet ship. A whole fleet probably get fucked up if you aim it
Sure.
right.
Oh
One
yeah.
Tie fighter could take out a whole fleet. So it's like in that one moment right there, the entire series was just like turned on its head and like devaluated. Like after that, I was just like, okay, I'm done. Like there's nothing more here for me. They don't even care. Like how do you want me to care if you don't even care? Like
Right?
I'm I'm just gonna walk away, and it's all of it turned into narrative and just
Yeah.
issue. Like I did the same thing with Solo. I just let that leak. I did see Rogue One in theaters, and I liked Rogue One because of how it tailored into A New Hope.
Sure.
But even Rogue One has its issues here and there.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'd still say that one was the best of the modern Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Even going back to like Phantom Menace and all those ones, it's better than it fits better than those. It feels more Star Wars like. And the crazy thing is like Vader was the only like real Force user, like Jedi esque Sith or Jedi Force user in the series. I mean,
Mhm.
they had that one dude that was Ip Man. I can never remember
Yeah.
his name, but the guy who played Ip Man was in it, and
Yeah.
uh, and he was like a Force sensitive. But like I like how they did that. Like they went like kind of soft sci-fi with it instead of
Yeah.
hard sci-fi, you know.
Sure.
So so I appreciated that movie for what it was, but it felt right away that that was not the type of movie that they wanted to do going forward. Like people like
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy were going out there and saying like, no, no, like we want a more like centric focused Star Wars that has a narrative that we are publishing on our own. The mythos and the old stories matter little here moving forward. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm done. Like I'm here because of the old mythos and stories. Like they
Right.
literally got rid of all the extended universe and
Yeah.
they created their own new Star Wars legacy line that's supposed to cover everything moving forward. But then Kathleen Kennedy went on record stating like these movies are hard to make because we don't have enough backstories and canon to pull from. And I'm like, you got rid of your canon. You got rid of all your canon, and now you're complaining about the lack of canon. Like, what is going on over there? Like, you people are nuts. It seems like a bunch of children or teenagers even at that much are like running it. I don't know. Like, it's like a bunch of kids with attitudes at like a school paper, and they're like, everyone has their idea on how it's supposed to work, and so they'll sabotage the other one just to get ahead. Like Ray Johnson threw out. I mean, not to like wank Abrams or anything like that, but Ray Johnson threw out his whole script. Said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it my way." Like this is the story that Abrams set up is. I don't even care. I'm moving forward. We're gonna kill off Snoke,
But
and then they
the
go ahead.
crazy thing is, sorry to cut you off, but the crazy
No
thing
worries.
is Abrams just went back and did the same things to Ryan Johnson with the last one,
That's
and he's
exactly
just
what I'm
like,
gonna
well,
say.
fuck you, well then, fuck you, and so I'm just watching. We're just watching two people fight.
It's literally a dick wagging contest. They're literally in real time between these movies, and like
Yeah,
the fans are being like marionetted into the theaters because of it. It's
yeah,
just like what you want to watch. It's Star Wars. Like everybody likes Star Wars now. Disney. We own everything. We like our properties. We have the best and the
yeah.
greatest, the shiniest franchises. We take all the things that you grew up loving and you learned to enjoy, and we're gonna steal it and we're gonna turn it into what we want, and you're gonna pay for it because it has the name. And I said, no, sir. Good day. I said good day.
Good day. So you shut it off. So it was the extended universe canon that they just threw out that really did it for you, pretty much.
Yeah,
Would you
and
say the biggest thing?
yeah, that because their implementation of like how like the hyperdrives work and all that kind of stuff, and like just using warps as like using the
Yeah,
hyperdrive to like destroy
these are
stuff.
solved problems.
Yeah, they created their own little like scenarios to like it's like they were writing something that they just invented. Like it felt like that there was no history there for them to willingly pull from. Like even Luke was going on record. Mark Hamill, his interviews are the best. Go through and find like Mark Hamill interviews about what is it? Not necessarily Rise of the Skywalker, but
The
uh,
Last Jedi?
the Last Jedi. I keep calling it the Revenge
Yeah,
of the Jedi because I keep thinking of the title name for what Return of the Jedi was supposed to be. It was supposed to be
right.
Revenge of the Jedi. That's why they went with the Revenge of the Sith, because then Lucas was like, I want to use that title, but
I
I
want
guess this.
revenge. I need
Yeah.
revenge. Yeah, I
So Last
remember.
Jedi, when I think of the name, I always want to go like Revenge of the Jedi because it felt like that's what they were trying to go for, but then it
I
fell
feel
apart.
you.
But get all
Yeah.
the Last Jedi interviews with Luke,
No,
and
no.
you'll
Disney
see
had
him.
to. Disney was like, Mark, you gotta shut up, man. You gotta tone it down. Like they shut him up after a while. He deleted some tweets that he said. He did
Oh,
a lot
dude,
of things during
and
that movie. But
his
he was
arguments were
pretty, yeah, he
poignant.
was very vocal about it until Disney did something to him, threatened his family or something, and then he stopped.
He said, "Look at Empire. Luke gave up on his Jedi training to go rescue Han. You mean to tell me he's going to sit here on an island when his best friend is over there across the world, across the universe, fighting some of the most difficult battles of his lifetime? Things that are tied directly to me. Like, shouldn't I be there? Wouldn't Luke get up? You mean to tell me he's not going to do that?" And then like next day, they're like, "Well, Mark Hamill's press tour has been cut by 3/4." It's just literally like we're gonna put him we're gonna put a muzzle on this dude. Yeah, it made no sense. And his character, like, dynamic. Dude, him trying to kill Kylo Ren before he even fell to the dark side completely spits in the face of him trying to redeem his father after he had already willingly been corrupted by the dark side.
Ah.
Like, he killed younglings. Like, he had actually murdered people and done fucked up dark side shit. Kylo Ren was just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm a wily, like, young adult, and I'm kind of arrogant. I got a head on my shoulder. I think the world is in my hands. Like, whatever. Maybe I'll check out this dark side thing. And Luke's like, you gotta fucking die. Fucking, that's it. I'm not gonna chance this. It's like it's a complete about face. Once again, it's a moment that
Dude,
you realize they don't
it's
read the
awkward.
canon, they don't read the mythos, they don't care. They just have it in their hands, and they're like gonna do whatever they want to further their fame, their notoriety, or infamy at this point.
What do you think of Clone Wars and Rebels?
Oh god. Back when I was still pretty fervous of Star Wars fan, I was dumb enough to see the animated Clone Wars movie in the theaters.
Oh, the
Do you
movie's
remember when that?
garbage. Yeah, the
Oh yeah.
movie's garbage trash.
I was fortunate though.
Streaming's better.
Austin was working at the theater, still our buddy, and
Yeah.
he got me free tickets. So that was one where I was like, once again, I didn't have to spend any of my money, so I'm fine with it. I'm really fine with it. I didn't like the movie, but I didn't feel so robbed after the fact.
Yeah, the movie is pretty garbage, but the show is pretty good. Dave Filoni did good with the canon. And that's why George Lucas thinks of him as like a second son because he is like the closest to knowing Star Wars canon. And at least he's involved with Disney right now. He's doing The Mandalorian, which wasn't too bad. You should give it a watch, although I doubt you will.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the Clone Wars series when they were doing like the stuff with Darth Maul, and they were
Oh
bringing
yeah,
back like
the
the
whole
the
Civil War on Mandalore and stuff like that.
Yes, with the black saber and all that. Like,
Yeah,
that stuff's straight out of the extended universe. Like, that's really legit stuff
yeah,
for them to actually put into play and make it fit nicely. And then like Rebels came out, and I was just like, I'm not feeling this either. And it got kind of burnt out. Like, because then they did the whole thing where they brought back Darth Maul for a third time, and I'm
yeah.
not talking like the prequel bring back of Rebels where they like, or
They
yeah,
brought him
Rebels
back
with
in
no
Rebels too.
Solo
Yeah.
in Solo. I
Oh,
mean,
that.
yeah, yeah. Like,
But
I'm
they
not
did
even
bring
talking
back in
about that.
Rebels too.
In
But they
Rebels
brought
when they
back in
brought him,
Solo too.
Rebels when they brought him back, it was so bad. Like, they just
That was
killed him off. He shows up. They build up this big fight with him and Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan just kills him in one hit and holds him, and he's like, I'm so cold. And Obi-Wan's like, shh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, what is happening here? This is not the fight I wanted. I wanted a
Nope.
badass fight between like rested wise Obi-Wan and like cyborg raw freaking like Darth Maul. Like, I
Right.
want this culmination fight. It's like them in Phantom Menace was better. Like, that was a better fight. That was a more
Sure.
enjoyable fight. And then you have that weird nod in Solo, and I'm just like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't even care about Darth Maul anymore. You took the paramount of my childhood, Darth Maul, like this character that I saw Phantom Menace 7 times in
Uh,
theaters when I was a little kid in 6th grade because of Darth Maul. That double blade lightsaber scene. I went back and was like, I gotta see this. Like, I gotta see this fight. It was really dope. I really enjoyed it. Now I'm like, dude, I don't care. I don't want to see Darth Maul again. I'm done with it. I am just done with this dude. He's played out. How many times can you mine this well?
Yes.
It was very
That's true.
unfortunate.
Yeah, that they mined it.
Ooh,
They mined it good. I'm amazed I landed that.
yeah, it was a good
Uh,
catch.
yeah. They mined it too hard. I was like, this is badass. I love all this Darth Maul stuff. And then I was like, this is getting. I'm over it. I'm
Yeah,
out.
like when they brought it back with his brother and all that stuff, I was like, this is cool. But then like
Yeah.
the Emperor showed up and fought him, and I was like, this is dope. But then he defeated him, and then he came back. And then he defeated him again, and he came back. I'm like, okay. Like, this dude is unfucking killable. It could have been happened. He came back, and that didn't stop him.
Right?
Like, Jesus, how does it end? I mean, there's other characters. There's cooler characters from the mythos from
Yeah.
the extended universe stuff that they could really like play on.
Damn it.
Like, there's
Nice.
like Bounty Hunter Jedi and all these other
Sure.
like there's that one dude who was like a oh gosh, he was a Tusken Raider Jedi that once turned into a Tusken Raider Sith. I'm like, I mean, come on. I
Yeah.
want stuff about that. Like, who
There's
gives a crap?
diverse. Yeah, there's so much to work with, man.
Who gives a crap about the same characters like remind over and over again? I mean, from what I hear, and I know everything about the final Star Wars movie, it just literally says that like, no, these aren't even movies about Luke anymore or the Skywalker family. Then the main focus of the story was really meant to be the Palpatine bloodline. This is all about Palpatine in the end. Like
Weird.
that's the big spoiler coming out of the last movie is that like no, Luke never really mattered. None of these just guys just happened to fall in the backdrop of the story. This was all meant to be about Palpatine from the get go. That's what the last movie tried to pretty much imprint on the aftertaste of the
Yeah,
saga.
you could definitely say that. It's weird.
Yeah,
Forced.
I'm like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit about? Palpatine wasn't even like the the relevant plot line in a few of the movies, but if you say that what is true after the end of this movie, then apparently like he was pulling the strings for everything from the get-go for years
Right?
in a way that makes no
Uh,
sense.
it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's definitely frustrating. What? Oh, also, a little bit of spoilers. I'm sure you don't care. We find out who has the dark saber in the end of Mandalorian, which is cool. So there's little bits of things that Dave Filoni does that I love that sprinkles in to the extended universe. Let's talk about the extended universe. What's your favorite part of the extended universe? Book, game, character, age? Tell me some of your things that you like. Are you a big Old Republic fan? You big Gray Jedi fan? What's your
Oh,
jam? What's your
I do
jam?
like I do love Old Republic, but my jam is the 1977 Star Wars Christmas special that held the first appearance of Boba Fett.
That is pretty good. That animation.
No,
Yeah.
I hate that thing. That thing is creepy. That thing is, oh
It's
my
weird.
god, Chewbacca's family looks weird.
Oh, that thing is a nightmare.
His dad gave me nightmares. I was just like, dude, he looks so scary and angry. Oh, dude, I had this guy that I befriended through I think it was Kazaa, and he like lived in Australia. He sent me a copy of that through Kazaa, like we peer to peer it, and I downloaded it. He also gave me a pre-effect rendered version of a Phantom no of Clone Wars. 2 weeks
Oh,
before it came out in
nice.
theaters. 2 weeks before it came out in theaters, I watched Clone Wars on Kaza, but it had no effects, so like the CG wasn't added in yet. Shit yet.
Weird.
Yeah, like the spaceships are all surrounded by like smoke and stuff. Like they were just using fog machines to like kind of to
That's
fill in the
funny.
blanks. It was cool. I burned that shit to a DVD and like showed it to my mom, and I was like, "Look, mom, this movie don't come out for like a couple weeks. Look how bad the quality is." And I'm like, "Oh man, I know how this movie ends." So like I watched that on there, and like that was kind of cool to see those things, and I always liked those little side mythos things. But Knights of the Republic was probably some of my favorite extended universe, just because playing it in the game and making the
Yeah.
choices and the reveals. Like the Revan reveal was as good as like Luke, I am
Ooh.
your father. Nothing in Star Wars has risen to that level of provocative, shocking nature.
Sure. Sure. Definitely. I dig that. I dig that. I am a big Dash Rendar fan.
Oh, Shadows of the
He's my friend.
Empire.
Shadows of the Empire.
Oh
Yes.
yes. Dude, that's
Yes.
one of the best N64 video games out there, man. I don't care what.
No, the game is garbage. Go back and play it. You're gonna hate it. You're gonna
No,
hate it if you go
no,
back.
no. The
But it
very
was
first level,
just
you do the.
let it be in your mind that it's amazing.
Even
But
if you
yeah.
hate the rest of the game, the first level is the Hoth battle scene, and you get to like trap
Oh
up like
yes.
walkers and AT-ATs and stuff. That
Oh
shit is
yeah.
worth it. That alone, I played that part more than the rest of the game over and over and over.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah.
so
Dash
good.
Randar. Oh man,
Ash Rendar, man. Yeah, I
a
want to
Han
see him
Solo by another name.
pretty much.
Oh,
Pretty
totally.
much. He did it way better, I feel.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a much more badass Han. He was a more like gritty Han Solo. He was like Han Solo if he was played by like Kurt Russell or something like that, where it was just like we got to escape from New York this fucking movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh gosh, but yeah, there's so many good extended universe books that I read. So many comics, everything. Like oh gosh. My favorite way to watch episode 3, by the way, is in comic book form. I thoroughly enjoy reading the comic book of episode 3 versus watching it because I
Yeah,
don't have to hear Hayden Christensen's voice.
yeah, yeah. Not a fan of the Christensen, the Hayden. Not on the Hayden train.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But I mean, geez, like it didn't ruin his career as bad as it did the actor that played Jar Jar Binks. You ever see the documentary about that?
No,
The
tell
dude
me.
like went on to kill him. Like I don't know if he committed suicide, actually like committed suicide or attempted suicide. I can't remember.
Gotcha.
I want to say I know 100% on that and be wrong, but I heard something along the lines of that, and that ruined his career. He thought that Jar Jar Binks was going to be this big breakout character that was going to make him famous, and
Hmm.
instead it just like destroyed him. Whereas Jake
Damn.
Lloyd walked away pretty good, like young Annie. Like he, his
Sure.
career didn't go like off the rails, but he still gets work
Sure.
at. It's like he was in The Boys. Like I liked him in that, and like he still gets stuff. But yeah,
Who's
no.
he? Who's he in the boys?
He was that one dude. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name, but they ended up breaking his arm in the end. They were like trying to get information. Oh gosh, I can't remember the character name, but I know he was in it because he's got a little bit of weight and he's got a beard. His hair was long.
Oh man.
Check out
Okay.
the Wikipedia. You'll see the name and all that on there. But yeah, he's totally in The Boys because I like recognized his face. Like his face, it's either that or it was Haley Joel Osment. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, it's Haley Joel. That's Haley Joel Osment. Yeah,
Oh,
Haley
okay.
Joel,
Well, maybe
the one
Jake
that
Lloyd
got
doesn't
yeah.
more then.
Yeah.
I'm wrong then. You know what? I just remember him as Haley Joel Osment now. Then
Oh man. In your mind, he's forever Haley Joel Osment.
they both kind of aged to the same person.
That's funny.
Oh, jeez. Oh, but the one of my favorite Star Wars like side movies is the I Am the Father, which is
Uh,
about Peter Krause,
oh
uh,
yeah.
who played the Vader in the first two movies, but
Sure.
but Lucas like threw him under the bus in the third one because he believes he was the one who leaked to the press that Darth Vader was Luke's father for Empire Strikes Back.
Oh.
So that big scene in the end where Vader takes off his helmet and you get to see his face for the first time, that wasn't him, and it was supposed to be him. But
Right.
at that point, Lucas had already fired him, and that really fucked with him for his whole life. And in the documentary, they actually redo the scene. Like the French filmmaker who does the documentary says, like, "Well, we're gonna give you a chance to live that like dream that you always wanted." And they redo the scene with him and everything. It is really dope and really good quality. It's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, but I love that documentary because like it exposes how like he was always a like a physical actor. That's what they got him for. Like things like he played
Right.
Frankenstein and stuff like that. So alongside Grand Admiral Tarkin, Peter Cushing. Like
Yes, Peter Cushing.
see, people don't understand that Lucas really loves those old Hammer films. That's why Jason Lee is in it,
Oh
or
yeah.
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's in it, and Count Dooku,
Dooku. Fucking
Count
Dooku.
Dracula, Count Dooku. Like, gosh, Lucas,
Come
like
on.
sometimes you aren't creative enough, but yeah, I liked that he was in it, but the name Count Dooku sounded too close to like Count Dookie,
Dookie.
and that made
Funny.
me think of like Count Chocula.
Weird. Okay.
But yeah, like I always enjoyed those little like nods to film throughout Star Wars. Now it's like that stuff is gone. That stuff is all gone now. You don't get that in any of the movies, like nods to old cinema or like just layers of historical relevance.
You definitely get not you don't get like what you get in like a I guess a Tarantino film, right? Where you get like that cranked up to 11 almost, or anything self-reflexive of cinema, or like especially with the old Star Wars, a lot of like samurai films,
Yeah, Kurosawa.
westerns.
Lucas
Yeah,
loved Kurosawa. The design of Vader's helmet is a pastiche to the samurai armor from the Kurosawa's Legend of Seven Samurai. Like he loves those movies, and he bakes that kind of appreciation into his movies. Though some of them miss the landing, the older ones get it pretty well, and it's still there enough in the newer generation ones that he did to kind of still scratch at that itch. The new ones that are being made now, the contemporary Star Wars movies, have that in no way, shape, or form, and it's sad. But I mean, the extended universe was cool because it was its own little way to flush out that big world that Lucas had set forth and pad that kind of stuff. And you got an S rank. Good job, buddy. But yeah, we're never gonna. I don't think we're gonna get any good extended universe stuff. I think we're gonna get more MacGuffins and things like that, and just weird plot holes.
But
I have little.
I hate it because there's so much like you're clearly taking from the extended universe and you killed it. Like in the third one, they have what's the device in I think they call it a wayfinder in in the last movie. But what is it called in the extended universe? It's like the device that directs you to the Sith planet.
Oh, I can't remember the name on that one, but it was more of like it had like a fancy artifact name to it. But I
Yeah,
mean, like, look at Grand Admiral Thrawn. They took Grand Admiral Thrawn and put him in it, and that's all extended universe.
yeah.
So it's like they hated it, but then they realized they're like, crap, we don't know what to do. So let's double back a bit and let's just kind of let's return a little bit of this. Enough where they try to act like it's like, oh, but we're still original enough here. Like, well, why did you even get rid of it? Why not just keep it? Like, why not just make it all the same thing?
Why
I
did
don't
you
know.
buy Star Wars?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that
Treasures.
the prequels in general, any prequel, like, I mean, Rebels aside, like that one was, I mean, Rogue One aside, that one was a fair prequel because it literally linked right into A New Hope. You could
Sure.
watch those movies back to back, and they literally flow into each other. Though you watch Rogue One and you're like, oh, I like A New Hope as the story and like the classic feel of it, but man, Rogue One is like brutal and badass.
Right.
Like, that Vader scene is like so vicious, and I loved that. That was great. So that one works, but the rest of the prequels, like one, two, and three, what they
Yeah.
want to do moving forward with a lot of the Obi-Wan stuff, like that stuff doesn't work.
I am. It's concerning because you got on the one hand, you got Disney rocking it with Marvel, right? They seem to be hitting it out of the park, and then you got Star Wars over here where they just don't have it together at all.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like it's not it's not really like showing how it should. Like they have all the right pieces and everything's put together, but none of it is landing. None of it is sticking the landing. That's the big problem. And I really feel that all of this stuff is turning out to be just a big trash fire. Like they could build towards something great and restore all the older like Star
Uh,
Wars like fandom and mythos, and they could have done that right, but instead they were just like everyone wants to do it their way. Everyone has their own idea how the series should be. None of it none of it involves the fans. Zero fan recognition, it feels like now. It almost feels like they're mad about the fans. And that's what they do. You see, they talk about the toxic fandom and all this stuff. And that's their way to shit on the fans because it's like you criticize the movie and you say it's a bad movie. And they're like, oh, the fandom's just toxic. And it's like, no, it's just a bad movie. It's just literally like the plot doesn't work. The things don't connect. The stories don't make sense. Like, it seems like the people who are writing the movies have never once even watched a Star Wars movie or read a Star Wars novel. So it's like, wouldn't that be a fair argument? And it's like, no, you're just a toxic fan. You just don't like that someone else is destroying what you like.
it's unfortunate. Oh, why did I just stand there?
You tank that like a champ.
Um, it's unfortunate. It definitely is unfortunate. People are dismissive these days. I feel like they could be dismissive instead of take criticism.
Hmm. That's
Some
true. Well, it's that narrative that like, oh, if you don't like something, it's just because you're this or that. You're like bigoted, or you're this, or you're a misogynist, or that. That's what they did with the, I mean, the new Harley Quinn movie, The Birds of Prey. Like people will say that, oh, that movie did bad because of misogyny, and it's like, no, that movie did bad because it's bad. I mean, like,
It's bad.
it's
Yeah.
essentially they didn't learn any of their mistakes from. No one said that about what was it, Suicide Squad. No one said Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was just bad. This movie is literally because it has the same problem Suicide Squad did, and but instead they're just like, oh, but it's bad because of misogyny.
Nah,
Like,
bro.
no, that's not. Gosh, it's like that sucks. Like that you can't even just like call a bad movie for what it is. We have to like baby it.
You have to create other ideological constructs around it instead of just accepting it's good or bad, man. It's just good or bad.
Yeah.
How
And
about
that's
that?
the same mentality that's running Star Wars right now. Kathleen Kennedy is literally that kind of person where she's like, "Oh, these movies don't do well because, men just can't get behind Ray or something like that." Like I'm just like, "No, I liked her as a character, but she's
No.
definitely a Mary Sue. Like there's no challenge, there's no development. Like Luke was a chunch from the get-go, and then he became badass. She was a badass from the get-go, and then became even more of a badass."
It's
Yeah.
weird. It was weird, and then they tried to develop like they had a long relationship between Ray and Leia, like they
Yeah.
were master and trainer for a while, and I'm like, that's weird, a little
I mean,
forced,
how do
and
you feel about them using these characters that are dead in like CG re-renderings or holograms and stuff like that? Like
it's
using
weird.
post effects to kind of bring them back to life. It's weird,
It's
right?
it's weird. Certainly is weird. I don't think it's like a, I don't want to say like ethical or moral, but I don't think it's going to lead to bad things in the future, especially with like deepfakes coming along and
Yeah,
getting
they're doing
smart,
James
AI
Dean
getting
movie.
smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are mad about that.
Yeah, and they have every right to be because like the character that's being portrayed with that actor is that actor's property. Like they're making that character come to life. If you're
Yeah.
just doing it with a computer program, then that's nothing. Like that's just ones and zeros making that happen. That's not the little tinge between the smile and like the twinkle in the eye of that character when they deliver those lines. Like that's the actor's doing. And you take that
Hmm.
away, then you're just getting nothing. It's all masturbatory on the
It's
studio's
gonna be
end.
weird. I don't know what are they gonna have an actor act it and then just place his face on top of it.
Yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go with a lot of these newer Disney movies moving forward because they do it with like even the actors are still alive, like with Sam Jackson and like Captain Marvel. They made him
Yeah.
younger, and it's like a lot of people say that we're okay with it, but I'm like, nah. The whole time he looked funny, like he looked like his face was like melting, like it looked like he was like a wax like museum dummy.
Did
I'm
you
like
see
this
The
is not.
Irishman?
Yeah, I saw the Irishman. That was a with Joe Pesci. That was kind of interesting. Like his character is so weird and loud and like obnoxious that I almost accepted it. But Sam Jackson in this was more of like his like toned down. Like if it was Pulp Fiction Sam Jackson, then I feel like it would work a little better. But
Hmm.
since in this he was like it was like Fury Sam Jackson, and he was trying to be like the strong, straight laced tough guy who's like just trying to figure out the whole world and stuff. It didn't work as much because they
Right.
wanted his character to be like our point of view, like our reference. Like we wanted, they wanted us to associate more with him and how he's dealing with this stuff and finding out. Oh, you got me about like the Kree and all that stuff. Like that we were supposed to kind of be in his shoes, but with him being all CG like that, I'm instantly like removed from his shoes and going like, it's all nonsense. It's all just a computerized romp. Like this is more of a video game and less of a movie. Which is a big problem with
Right.
a lot of the Star Wars movie or like animated series and things like that. Like sometimes they feel more like a video game, less than a movie.
Oh, and that was pretty much all of Rise of Skywalker. It was just like we got to get to the thing to get to the thing to get to the thing. It felt like I was in a video game, just collecting coins. It
Yeah, it was
wasn't. It
it
wasn't a
was
story. It
unfortunate.
wasn't a story. It wasn't a story. We got to get to the MacGuffin to get to the thing to get to the other MacGuffin to get to Palpatine.
Exactly.
And and
There really is no good bright future for the current Star Wars mythos. Like I mean, I heard that they kicked the D&D guys off of Old Republic trilogy they were gonna do. Like those guys are gone. They had like creative differences, and so the Game of Thrones guys like got off of it and like left. and like they had a pretty negative parting of ways with LucasArts, and I'm fine with that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't even really want an Old Republic trilogy. I liked the Old Republic games, and they were fine as they
Mhm.
were. Like, I didn't even really want like a, I guess what you would say, an MMO for that. But I feel like they're gonna mine all those series, and they're gonna well that stuff out. And Star Wars is just kind of doomed at this point. So that's why I got off. I just said I'm done. I don't need any more Star Wars. I see where this series is going. I see where this franchise is going. I don't need to give them any more of my money or fandom. When I was younger, it was fun, even with like the prequels. But now it's just feels sad.
It does, unfortunate. Um, if you were to make a movie, what would you make? Who would be your stars, and what would be the setting of your Star Wars movie? It could be
Uh,
anything, extended universe, whatever.
I would make a sequel to Willow, and I'd bring back all the cast.
God damn
It's exactly what I'd do. Gun to my head.
it!
I would make a sequel to Willow, and I'd bring back all the cast. That's in the Star Wars universe. That's in the mythos. It's there. Lucas even confirmed it. He said Willow is in the Star Wars universe.
That's hilarious.
Dude, I'm so down for that. I really think Warwick Davis needs as much work as he can get. I love that dude. Have you ever seen Life's Too Short?
A long time ago.
Oh, dude, they released a special where Val Kilmer shows up and he's like trying to convince Warwick to be on board for a sequel to Willow, and he's like it's like peak fat Val Kilmer, and he shows up and he keeps introducing himself to people with the Batman mask on, and he's like, guess who's under
That's
here?
great.
And Warwick will be like, it's he played Batman, like come on guess, and like they'd be like George Clooney, no, they just say everyone, they're like, oh man, like is like Christian Bale under there? No way. Like,
No.
they would they'd go through the whole list of everyone. Like even Adam West would get dropped, and then they'd be like, "We don't know." Then like, it's Val Kilmer,
Fucking kill me.
the worst of the Batmans, uh, easily.
Yeah, you would say he's the worst. He's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'd do that. Yeah, I'd be totally down with a Willow thing where they branched into it, like they tie it in, like someone shows up from like the Star Wars universe somehow, like a fucking spaceship crash lands and R2D2 rolls off of it. He's the one bridge. Like I wanted to do a um Star Wars D&D campaign where it took place on the Willow planet, where they like a couple of Jedi crash land on the Willow planet and they can't get off.
Oh man, can we run that? Can we run
I,
that?
I'm down. I'm down. I told myself if I ever do it again because like I did a few Star Wars campaigns and like they were good,
Yeah.
but it's difficult running an entire universe versus just running one planet. Like I feel like if I
Sure.
limit it to a planet, it's not gonna take my whole life up. uh,
Right. It's so hard. You gotta.
Cause you go to
Well,
spaceship, you could go to any planet. So I have to have content ready for any one of those planets that you show up on. Like I could
right?
work storyline stuff to like make it so you don't go there, but then it starts to get railroady, and then like the role playing immersion kind of fall away, to the wayside. So yeah,
Exactly. But it's hard. There's so many planets. There's
yeah,
so many planets. There's no way you could. I mean, there's a way, but it's like you kind of with that game. You as a DM, you have to improv a little on the fly,
exactly.
or
Like,
consume your life. Let it consume your life. One of those two options.
yeah, it worked at that time that I was on unemployment and like just didn't have anything to do. So
Nice.
the government gave me money to run a really schwanky Star Wars campaign for like 2 years too. It was great.
Nice.
I got like a letter in the mail, and they're like, "We extended unemployment for like another year," and I was like, "Well, shit. Then if I don't have to get a job, I guess I won't."
Nice.
Guys, the campaign goes on. um, but yeah, I totally like. They're in the world of like miniseries now, so like a Willow miniseries that would work. Like that would be cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I that's really all I want to see because like the Star Wars stuff has a bad taste in my mouth, and like with the company itself, like they're even saying like, "Hey, we want to step back a bit. We want to do a little bit less Star Wars."
Right.
The Obi-Wan I hear series is like back and forth on like it gets shit canned, they bring it back, it gets shit canned again, or it gets put on a definite hiatus. And I'm just like, well, maybe Birds of Prey, since that did so bad and that was had Ewan McGregor in it, like maybe they're just like, maybe Ewan McGregor isn't such a hot piece of a meal right now.
Interesting, interesting. Maybe. Perhaps. Who knows? I think he could pass off the blame to someone else, though, for that one.
Yeah. Want to do this as our last one, and then after that, I think I'll skedaddle to work.
Let's do it. So, Danny, give. Oh, one more thing. Your favorite Star Wars toy that you had growing up?
Ooh. Favorite Star Wars toy growing up? That's oh shit. I had this Millennium Falcon that was a video game built into it. So like you opened up the back of the Millennium Falcon and it was like one of those Tigertronic games. You know what I'm talking about?
Dude, so I had the X-Wing version of that,
Oh
I
shit.
think. You
Our,
know, did they
our
have an
friendship
X-Wing
was
version?
destined
Yes.
in this
Yes.
in the four. Yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I remember the whole set in the commercials. Dude, I used to
Yeah.
take that thing like everywhere with me as a kid and like just like when I was bored, I'd like break it
It
out and
was
be like play this
awesome.
Tigertronic game.
It was
Was
amazing.
was the X-Wing one that was that like your favorite?
It was. I wouldn't say that one was my favorite though. I did have one. I did have that though. The X-wing one. My favorite is the one I probably still have today. Is the Micro Machine Millennium Falcon, and it opens up with the little micro machines, and
Oh,
you could
yeah.
store your other Star Wars micro machines in there.
Yeah, that was like the guy version to like the female version of those like Polly Pocket
Polly
toys.
Pockets. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now that reminds me. You know what? I changed mine. You know, Star Wars Legos. That was my
Star
favorite
Wars
toy.
Legos.
Those
Those are
I play
fun.
with those more than any fucking other Star Wars figure or toy or anything.
I've always wanted to get the Death Star and build that set.
Do you
I
remember
think
that one where it was like
the
1,000,
Beast.
like 1,500
Yeah.
piece set, and it was like the size of a person?
They're so expensive these days. They're hard to find.
Oh yeah. That
They,
well, yeah,
they
because those are one of those collectibles that don't ever depreciate because they're just so grand and rare.
yeah. I always wanted to do that. Never did, or could justify that much money for Legos.
Yeah. No, yeah, gosh. That's one of those things like I got some of the few of the littler ones and like the basic ones, but yeah, there were ones where it was like you could get this like this like the starship base or like the Star Destroyer base or whatever, like the inside of a Star Destroyer, and that's like $100. And I'm like, yeah, my parents are never gonna be down for that, and I can't save
Yep.
up that much money. There's no
Yep.
way. I'm like, there's only so many lawns I can mow. Like, yeah, that's where it's like that kind of side was for either like really bougie kids or like adults that had a lot of like free money to burn.
Sure.
Like me when I was 16 and I had a job and I was like, yeah, I could buy a bunch of like useless shit.
That was nice. That must have been nice. I wish I had
Yeah,
a job as a kid. That would have been great.
didn't work out
Um.
as well though because I still had to pay rent.
Right.
Second I got a job, my parents were like, all right, $200. And they said they were
Ah.
teaching responsibility. They taught me that I just need to get out of there sooner and pay my own rent.
Yep.
uh, that's all I learned.
That's funny. Any final thoughts on Star Wars and what you have Disney? You have Bob Iger, you
Uh-huh.
got Kathleen Kennedy, you got all the Star Wars creatives, including George Lucas, in front of the room. What would you say?
I'd say I hope your contract does end in a year, Kathleen Kennedy. Bob Iger, you're pretty hands off, it seems, most of the time. You're more of a business guy, so I got no problems with you. And Lucas, I would slap the man, then I'd hug him, and then I'd walk away. That's how I say it. I can't
Oh,
hate the guy. He did THX 1138. That's like one of my favorite sci-fi movies.
it's a good movie.
Next to the Starship Troopers.
Yes, I would like to know more.
Come on, Kyle. Do you want to live forever? But yeah, like I honestly I'm just over it, and I'm more kind of skeptic now going to like they're doing the Dune like franchise now. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
afraid that's gonna go the same route. If it doesn't, then that's gonna be my new big franchise of like the decade moving forward. But if it has the same tapings and like issues as Star Wars does right now, then I'll bail on that even quicker.
sure.
But I hope it
I
isn't. I hope it's good.
can. I am excited for that movie. It's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be. I'm
Cast
excited.
is
I
crazy.
can't say it's gonna be cool. The cast is
It's
insane,
insane. Oh my god, like that was where the it's like they're gonna have a lot of CG in that movie, and that's like expensive. Like, where did they have the budget for that cast?
right?
Unless they do a lot of practical effects, which I don't think they will, but that would be dope if they did. I think we're due for a harkening back to more practical effects, like The
I think we're
Thing
gonna
or like
see
Jim
more.
Henson.
Did you like Mad Max Fury Road?
Uh, kind of. Like it's hard for me to get excited for those kind of like reboot and remake kind of style movies, but
Did you
I didn't.
like
I
it?
didn't dislike it. I definitely enjoyed it. It was a good. It was a good movie to watch for like entertaining purposes, but it didn't have that kind of absurdity that the original Mad Max really brought
Oh
to the
yeah, it
table.
didn't. But those practical effects in that movie were off the charts.
Yeah, the
Just
gore and blood
everyone,
were
yeah.
breathtaking. Oh, I think I got it. Am I
Damn
gonna
it,
cutscene you?
you
Let's
did.
see if I got the cutscene.
Did you get the
Cutscene. Yep,
cutscene? You got the
cutscene.
cutscene. Well played, sir. Um. Well, that has been fun. Who won the most matches? That's the real question.
I don't know actually.
They don't give you a tally. They only give you a tally on that loading screen that
Yeah.
that is there for like 2 seconds before the game.
Yeah,
And
and
then
they're usually trying to explain other things like the match stipulations, like things like what the rules are and like
yeah.
what the other little like quirks are, and you're like I have to either read that or read the like the win count.
Yeah.
It's like read this sentence or read this number. You only have time for one.
Right. Ah. Well, good gaming, good sir, and
Yeah.
good talking to you about Star Wars. It's always fun because it's always fun to see passion, whether negative or positive.
Oh, dude, who are you kidding? This felt like therapy. Like we need to do this more. I'll lie down next time, and then we can talk, and I'll be like, I just don't know why they had to do that. Like, they
Why?
should have just left. They should just left Jar Jar in the first movie. They brought him back as like a senator, and he was like relevant to the plot. Now I'm just waiting for that twist in like the new movies where it's like Jar Jar was behind it all, and he was the Dark Emperor. He
It was
was the
all
reincarnation
along.
of Palpatine.
I knew it. I knew it. Uh, well, always a pleasure. Folks, you can find Danny on my Discord server, which is private, and that's it. So deal with that. Try to find him other places. I don't know. Go meet him in person, I guess. Go out
Not
there.
likely. I'm
I don't,
pretty reclusive.
you're never gonna find him.
I don't I lack sunlight.
I like sunlight. Yeah. But
It's a
that
scary world out there. They got new Star
it
Wars like
is,
properties coming out,
right?
and things like that. I gotta avoid that shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Stay inside, folks. But
Oh.
that'll do it this week. Catch you next week. Peace.